Hey you guys, Shaman37X here bringing episode 25 of Epic Battle Fantasy V version 2. I feel like I haven't been saying that at the beginning of some of these videos. Anyway, last time we took care of the War Mammoth, double War Mammoth encounter, and then surprisingly, we also took care of Lance, which again, was not part of the plan. I'd like to emphasize that. So we got the hammer, and now we have access to Greenwood, and everything. There's a lot we can do now. So let me just try and get my bearings. So, I mean, we haven't even looked... Have we even looked at what Lance came with? Okay. Let's just look at his equips first. There's going to be a fair bit of, menuing here at the start. Randomly cast prototype 9x between turns. That, I'm sure, is a very rare effect. Just as a reminder, we have that summon, right? I think it's an AoE. Yeah. Yeah. AoE, dark, physical attack, always scores crits. Pretty good. Pretty good. In Equip Remix, I believe it's worth noting this is one of very few dark and one of very few fire, I think, boosting weapons for Lance. For some reason, Lance actually does not get a ton of synergy with his main elements anymore. I don't think, at least from what I can recall. This is the only gun for him for right now. So let's just see. Okay, so at max level, you may unleash space distortion. That is I believe, a dark magic attack that has a chance or might always inflict invisible. See, it's dark element. It doesn't do anything else interesting. Stats are pretty lame, but it's dark and fire, which is good. I would actually, those runes are kind of hard to come by right now, so I'm gonna undo that. But so that's what that does. Officer's Hat, I don't think I have any of these equips on my Twitch run yet, just so you know, so I'm actually learning this for this first time. Lance Doll. Oh, what does that one do? Do we have that one? I actually think we might have failed to get that capture. It's looking like we did. Okay, truthfully, I'm not positive what that does. It's not one of the dolls that I typically use. Gives the player Brave. I don't know how often. Probably pretty often. Oh, wait, we do have it. Okay. Oh, we got this one way earlier. Sorry, okay. AoE Magic Bomb. I totally missed that. Has a chance to say, okay, so that's again, it's probably a pretty rare effect because that's quite a strong summon, actually. But the stats are quite good, actually, for this hat. So that's a pretty good one. Officer's Coat, Boost Bomb, randomly cast War Mammoth. Again, pretty strong effect, pretty rare, I'm sure. Decent stats. Not sure what it does at max level because I can't upgrade it enough. But overall, Lance's starting gear is actually pretty good. Pretty good. For skills, I haven't done much. I didn't do anything before this boss, so I have a lot of stuff that I haven't done yet. I'm gonna go ahead and just give Nat a lot of her basic, bread and butter type stuff that she's definitely gonna want. I'm just gonna give her all of these. This is incredibly useful. I want to at least get this to its AoE form. How much is this? 1,500. I'd really like her to have her AoEs for those as well. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Let's redistribute a few of these. Okay, she's, I think, just gonna have Purify left. Let's see. You get this, and this, and this, and this. Lance is gonna get Bind. A lot of this is the main reasons I do the skills the way I do. It's just what I'm used to, for the most part, to be perfectly honest. It's just what I know best. Let's go ahead and upgrade that. None of this other stuff seems super necessary right now. I think I'll leave the rest as well, actually. Yeah, let's upgrade heal more a bit. For Lance, Unload is a must. I love Unload. Comes with Debilitate, so we finally have access to that. Let's upgrade this a bit. We already got level 2 limits. All of our limits should be level 2 now. Okay. Let's get Poison Gas. Again, let's just learn a lot of his basic stuff. So you see, this, I believe, is I know this is a V2 change. Originally, for a reason that is unknown to me, when you upgraded Lance's 3 basic attacks, or like his 3 basic elemental attacks, they became, I think they became exclusively AoEs for a few levels. Until you got to the form where you could single target and, you know, you could do, like, single target focus and then do damage to everything else. Before that point, between this level and that level, I think it's like level 5 or something, it was only an AoE, but now you have the choice to actually still use the single target, which is really nice, and I consider that a very notable improvement. Let's upgrade that. Oops, we gotta get Moab. Let's get Hyper Beam. Oh, you're definitely upgrading Medipack. Need Health Strike. Health Strike is like one of the best healing moves in the game. So we're definitely getting that. This is not an AoE yet. Let's see, these are still pretty cheap. Let's upgrade these a little bit more. Yeah, and then, so, I mean, it's not a long period of time that they would be stuck as exclusively AoE, but it struck me as unusual. But that is not the case any longer, which is very nice. Double Shot I use a lot, actually. If you want to get a weapon proc, which of course his weapon doesn't do anything right now, that is the move to use. I don't even feel the need to upgrade any of these other things right now. So we have all of our party members. I'm kind of tempted to try and take care of this battle, because I think this is the last major battle we have left in this area. I'm truthfully not positive I'm gonna be able to pull it off, but let's take a look at least. So this is kind of one of the interesting points that I wanted to keep a bit hidden until we actually might have been able to take care of it. So oh, that's actually really good. Okay, so that helps us out. So for anyone who doesn't know, I'm sure anyone who here knows this, has known this for a long time, but there are a bunch of enemies from the first 4 games that now return in this game. Most of them, or they all appear in a certain area. We're going to get to that area later. But in the Faux remix, now all of the Mimic battles actually include these enemies. And you may have also noticed Mimics now attack right away. They take the first turn every single time. Oh, this guy's actually weak to instant death. It's come to my attention recently that we actually do have an instant death weapon. I forget, but the Ice Needle actually is instant death. Not great odds on its own, but okay, so, and of course all these enemies also have captures, so we will be attempting to capture these guys. It is worth noting for me that these are some of my favorite enemies. Certainly in the 3rd game, the Slingers were some of my absolute favorites. I love these guys. I was so happy that these were enemies that came back. So how it works is that every game has a handful of enemies that return. I don't remember exactly. It's like, I think between 3 to 5 for most games, enemies that return, and 2 bosses. I will not be going into any more particular detail on this information until we actually get to the proper area where you would normally fight these guys. Well, I think even the bosses do actually appear earlier in the game, so maybe we'll see them sooner rather than later. But you'll notice these fights typically try and preserve most of the mechanics from the game they were in originally. Excuse me. So status effects that didn't exist in those games, you typically cannot inflict them at all. I don't remember exactly what status effects were and weren't in which games. Similarly, I think it's just the first game, dodging and evasion wasn't even a thing. So every enemy from the first game has 0 evade. You can always hit them, but they will also always hit you. There's no accuracy that comes into play in those fights. So that's just one example. Of course, since they're resistant to most status effects, there's not a ton you can do to help your captures, but they can be siphoned. I don't remember how tricky it is to actually capture these guys. But I'll play it a little conservatively. So the gimmick with these guys, I believe, with the Slingers, is that they have a lot of very strong attacks. Mostly non-elemental. The Gunslinger has some bomb attacks, but otherwise, I think mostly non-elemental. But they always have a chance to miss, regardless of anything else, basically. This is probably more than enough for capture, hopefully. Maybe? Okay. I was about to say there's really not a ton you could. I mean, you could still. Oh yeah, okay. You can still get debuff. So that's my bad. Let's surrender. Okay. I don't know if retro foes can surrender either. I just thought about that. I actually have no idea. Yeah, I don't know if they're capable of surrendering or not. Okay, so I probably could have done this fight when we first got here. I just wanted to wait to do some of these optional fights until we actually had the full party, so that we can get some AP distributed to them. I didn't even look at the other summon. I'm sorry. I'll look at them after the fight. I actually forgot. I actually didn't. I don't think I've done this one on Twitch yet either. So, okay. This is probably fine. Can't help but be a little concerned. Let's maybe kill one of these guys. I almost killed the gunslinger. Not quite as lucky. Okay. Okay, not much there. Also, completely as an aside, but oh jeez. Okay, something completely as an aside. Anyone who's a fan of Edmund McMillan's stuff, he has a Kickstarter going right now for a new tabletop or like physical card game he's been working on. It's called Tapeworm. I like to mention these things because I don't know how many people bounce between the different stuff that I've uploaded, but I know Isaac was something I did a lot, so I like I like to at least mention it. No Legs might be able to take out 2 of these guys. So I just want to make you all aware. He's got a bunch of stretch goals and a bunch of social tasks you can try and do to unlock him. But he's having a lot of fun with it. I'm looking forward to it. So I'll certainly be doing it. Oh my god! I'll be doing an unboxing video of that when that gets here, so you can kind of see what all is going on there. Jeez. All right. All right, Lance. Let's have you come in here. I'm not with only 2 of them alive. These guys I don't think have any AOE's at all, so not really much to worry about there. So all in all, this fight not too terribly bad, but I was waiting to do some of this. And that reminds me, I think there might actually be some other fights in this area that oh, that was his counterattack. Okay, so they do have an AoE, by the way. I actually forget about that. That was his counterattack. I didn't even notice. They really didn't counter. That was, I think, the only counter in that entire fight. Okay. I do think I may have skipped some fights in this area in favor of doing them at a later point. I don't recall exactly. That was the problem. I'm not that concerned about it overall, but I do think there's like one fight to the right that I might have skipped. Might have been 2, actually. Actually, I think I skipped this one as well. I like to at least look at some of these fights, because, all the fights are different now. So, we'll at least do this one, I guess, just because it's right here. But honestly, besides this, if there's any other ones that I've missed that you wanted me to check out, let me know, because actually I'm kind of blanking on that right now. Alright. John Miles are not weak to bomb, unfortunately, but that's still going to hurt him pretty badly. Oh, wow, they have a dispelling counterattack. That's it's actually pretty brutal. Wow, they heal from so much. Okay. Wow, there's actually no overlap here. Well, I want to kill these guys, so I guess we'll do this in exchange for healing the turret a little bit. I never noticed how many resistances those idols have, or how many things they heal from, even. It's pretty insane. Alright. Just beat this guy up a little bit, and then we'll do a little bit of setup. I'm certainly not overly worried about it. I should have looked at her equips. I'll do that after this fight, actually. Actually, you know what? It's probably not even worth it because it's radiation weather, and I don't feel overly compelled to try and change it. Okay. 70 power AoE. That's probably good enough. Good enough to at least... I just want to... Oh, that did more than I thought. He lived with... He doesn't have morale, by the way. This is just a nat 1, basically. Well, I guess it's a nat. Better than that for me, or for him, but... He actually just survived with 1 HP, so that's pretty cool. Alright, well... Even rewards, don't have to care about reviving people. I'm just gonna leave him dead. He's resistant to water. Oh. Right. Okay. There's a small... Oh, these guys are resistant to water too. Okay. There's really no good solutions there. In hindsight. Alright, that's fine. Yeah, it was only 50% water, so I figured, okay, I could get away with this. He only has 1 HP, so it just needed to do a non-zero amount of damage. That free robo effect is happening a lot, by the way, and it's really good. I don't know why it's happening as often. It's a relatively powerful effect, so I was expecting it to be quite rare. But I don't know. I've been getting it kind of a lot. Okay. So I think with that, we are just about ready to head out of here. Like I said, there might have been 1 or 2 small fights that I missed over here. But, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not that worried about it. So finally, let's go over here. Oh yeah, there's a cutscene. Yeah, Lance is a bad guy. Typical stuff. We got second premium dungeon here. Of course, with a very scary boss who was not scary once I learned how to fight her. But now with more foe resist on, it's gonna be a big problem. Okay, so we have another weapon for Lance, I believe also one that I haven't seen yet. Oh, we got the basket hat. Okay, that's a super good piece of equipment. We got another card, the Electron Child. Boosts the damage of summons. Take a look at that. Pretty nice. I don't know if I've been going over the cards as we get them. I only got 4 so far, so these are what we got. But the cards are pretty cool. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the card mechanic. We get the fairy here. Okay. Alright, we're getting some pretty nice stuff here. Let me go ahead and activate this teleport. Well, hold on. I don't think there's any quests here. No, okay. Let's go ahead and activate this teleport cat. Okay, so all the seasonal stuff is done for now. Yeah, I just want to get that activated. Okay, so now I will save again, and I'm going to look through some more of the new equips. Nitro Bomber. It's a bomb weapon from Lance. I believe bomb weapons are actually pretty rare for him, too. It's weird. It's weird what they did to Lance's weaponry in the equip remix. Pretty standard mainly, big bomb while attacking. Okay. You randomly get free Moabs. Very rarely, of course, but stats-wise, pretty good. It's mostly what you'd want out of a bomb weapon for Lance. Once again, no special effects or debuffs. Good resistances. Immunity to bomb, which is certainly useful. Pretty generic, but if you're looking for a bomb weapon, this pretty much hits all the major points. I don't know how likely this big bomb proc is, or if it's the single target or AoE, I'm not sure. But I feel like an unload, you stagger the enemy, unload, and then you get the big bomb in the end. That's some pretty significant damage, and it'll likely set up another stagger, which you can take advantage of later. So that's pretty good. I don't know why I reloaded already, by the way. That was a mistake. We got some more stuff to look at. Which is what? It's that, which I'm gonna at least upgrade this a couple times. We got the Fairy Flare, which isn't... Most of the flares aren't notably different, but that's certainly one we'll be using. I know we got more stuff. Oh, the basket hat. Here we go. I knew there was an important one we're missing. Boosts damage, that's not really that useful. You get pretty good stats. Gives the player haste. I'm upgrading this fully right away. This gives haste probably a lot more often than it should. This hat is very good. I got it pretty early on my Twitch run. I think I got it even in like the first area. And it's pretty much been on someone's head ever since. It's so good. You know, for obvious reasons, it's particularly good on No Legs. No Legs can do a lot of stuff. He has Encore, so even if he has nothing interesting he can do, he can just give the hasted turn to someone else. And it gives him more evade, which just works to his strengths. Let's upgrade that a bit. Let me look around and do a bit of upgrading here. We unleash Volcano. This is for anyone who saw my Ace video on Laurelin, Inferno is very good. We'll be seeing that later on when we get to Laurelin. In Equip Remix, this weapon is insane for fire damage. Volcano is a ridiculously strong attack. It's like the fire attack that Matt used to have, like the flame column that comes out. It dries, so it combos with itself. It's ridiculous. This weapon is insane. For Nat, what do we have here? There's the damage of Thunus. This is pretty cool. This boosts all of her major elements. A weapon inflicts Dispel. Not that useful. Most of the time, you'd rather have something. If you need to dispel something, you really need to dispel them, so you don't really want to take chances. Physical attack buff also is complete waste, but it's a pretty fair weapon. It's good for a lot of situations. So, what else do we have? Juggernaut. What an interesting weapon that is. Nothing else particularly worth upgrading. A lot of this stuff uses satin. Almost all of it does, actually. Sure. Upgrade that. Okay. This is pretty underwhelming at first, but once you get a couple levels into the red ribbon, it actually becomes pretty good. I think at max level it boosts. Well, I know at max level because it's already level 3. I know at some point it boosts chance to inflict status effects, so that's a pretty valuable asset to the team. Defender gives 80% magic buff. Very good. Very good effect. This is just generally pretty decent. Improves chance of catching foes. Uses the old boots. I think I've gone over that. This has no repercussions, but it is kind of amusing. Usually one of the guys ends up being capturer, just because the guys have more of that sort of equipment. Okay. So before we do any major backtracking, we're gonna get the axe, but I think even before that, we are gonna call it quits. I'm just gonna clear out these first couple screens. I was expecting to spend more time in Greenwood today, but it actually turns out we had enough background stuff to take care of in the meantime. Cow horns. We'll check that out in a moment. The secrets here, no. Okay. Go ahead and get this chest. Some chips. I think we needed those for something, actually, didn't we? Isn't there a quest we can complete now? Yeah, there is. Alright, yeah, let's just go and do that quest then. Sure. Because if you're trying not to buy the chips, because they are quite expensive, this is the point when you would be able to actually complete this quest. So let's go ahead and take care of that. This is for a reasonably good earth attack. He gets sand, which turns into sand dune a bit later on, which I will also be showing off momentarily. I just want to go back here because it's been a long time since we've been here, so I'd like to at least hear the music. Okay, so what do we get? We got the cow horns, which I think is actually kind of okay. Coffee. Increased effective debuff. Very defensive. Resistance or immunity to some debilitating status effects. Nothing to write home about, but if these effects are coming into play or if you need someone to debuff, this is pretty good. And as it turns out, Anna, with the Alchemist Bow, which I don't think we have yet, is quite potent at having a really strong debuff setup, so that might be one we make use of later. And as a skill, I was about to say, I don't remember getting any more equipment. Yes, also I see that chest down there, we can't get it yet. Usually this will end up going, oh, hold on. Okay, I actually forgot that this also typically goes here. Because now, for No Legs, we have sand. Actually, oh, everyone can, oh, I forget, everyone can learn everything because of one of the cheats I have on. Okay, so sand. May dry targets, may debuff accuracy. So we can go ahead and upgrade this a bit. There goes the sand dune. The dry chance is, I think at some point in the early on, the dry chance was, it capped out at like 60 or 70 or something. But now, at max level, you get a 100% chance to dry. Minus 40 to accuracy. Most enemies are going to be immune to that. But it doesn't have a cooldown. It's 190. And it inflicts dry, which doesn't combo with itself, but it combos with a lot of other things. So, pretty good. Pretty good skill. I'm not going to invest all that much into it here. But, it is a pretty useful one. Did I? Oh, okay. So I'll give it to No Legs just because everyone else that can normally learn it already has an Earth attack. But of course now Lance can learn it, so that actually could be useful. We'll leave it at that for now. Okay, and actually one more thing that I almost forgot to show off is that I was going to show off those summons that we got. I think they're both single target attacks. Okay, so we got the Sword Slinger. Attempts to stab a single target. Powerful non-elemental physical attack. It ignores evade and defense buffs. It basically ignores every defensive buff that they have. But it has a flat 50% rate of hitting. I don't know if luck affects this. I don't think so. I think this is just a straight up coin flip every time you use it. Which is why it does 680 damage, but only costs, you know, 26 SP. For the Gunslinger, you get slightly less power, but it's a bomb attack. Costs a little bit more, but it's the same gimmick. They're both physical. This one is bomb, so it's a lot better for comboing. But this is just good anytime, because it's non-elemental. I typically value non-elemental a bit more than I think I should, but yeah, the fact that this combos with dry is really good. And there's some notable enemies that are weak to bomb. So, you know, if you like flipping coins, these are some good summons for you. Just for fun, I might take on the Sword Slinger along, just in case I feel like, you know, flipping a coin in a battle every once in a while. It's pretty cheap, so it's a relatively low risk. But alright, that is going to do it for this video. Thank you everyone very much for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check the description for a link to my twitch.tv channel. I typically stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 to 9 p.m. EST. Monday and Friday are my EBF5 Ultra Challenge Run days. As of recording this, we're past Laurelin now, so we're kind of doing a bunch of the extra stuff that you do after that. Of course, by the time this goes up, it will be a bit past that, but we're in the past Laurelin. We're in like mid-game-ish. And then Wednesdays I do some multiplayer stuff with some of my friends or with viewers, or usually both. But yeah, next time we're going to collect the axe, do a bunch of backtracking. Now that we have the hammer and the axe, which I haven't done any backtracking for either yet. And we're gonna probably explore Greenwood as well. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys later.